Thank you for coming by our channel again today. As you know, this is the Tree Theory channel, but we have placed the name of the channel as Living in the HOA because that is what we're primarily concerned about, is dealing with HOAs and dealing with the infrastructure in HOAs and how all that together works to protect the value of your home and make sure that your investment remains a good investment living within an HOA. Now, we covered before a little bit about why this is about HOAs, but I want to talk to you a little bit about the purpose for HOAs and why they exist and why they've come to be like they are. HOAs are a tremendously necessary entity in the United States. And over the last few years, over the last couple of decades, actually, there's been a very rapid movement of population from the rural areas into urban areas for a lot of reasons. One of those being mainly because of job opportunities and economics of living in urban areas. A lot of people are preferring to do that rather than living in small towns and on farms as they did before. So HOAs are trying to accommodate that social change in the United States. The other thing is because of the housing demand that accompanied that movement of people from the rural areas into the urban areas. And so that great increase in housing demand, which we'll talk about in another video about why that has happened and the magnitude of that, because it actually is a very, very significant movement in the United States. That has resulted in huge housing demands in the urban areas. Now, another thing about the urbanization of the United States is that it has brought with it still the cultural aspect of it in the United States, and our traditions, our history, and our constitutional provisions have brought along with it the confines or the infrastructure that has helped the United States to become prosperous. So one of those is property ownership, private property ownership. In an HOA, of course, everything is owned by private people. Even the common areas are commonly owned by owners in those properties. So all of them are owners of that property by deed, which follows the property wherever to whomever it goes. All of its beneficiaries or owners or whatever. And so the value of the property depends a lot on how well the overall neighborhood is maintained. So property ownership is another. The other aspect of that is local governance. From the very beginning of the United States, local governance has been a characteristic of living in the United States. And so living in an association which runs the protection of the properties is a part of HOAs. So local governance, which is a basic characteristic of HOAs, is something that we all look forward to and we enjoy because we are able to control our own affairs. We're able to have control over our property. We're able to make a difference in how well that property's value is protected. And so private ownership and local governance are key aspects of living in an HOA. And it's actually called hyperlocal governance and hyperlocal self-reliance is what it's really about. So those are the aspects of HOAs that are extremely important to us. And the other is protecting the value of that property. The HOA is responsible for protecting the value of the property. It's written right into the documents that an HOA files when the community is established. And so protecting the value of that property is a prime responsibility of the HOA, and they're accountable for that as well. So keeping the value of that property up, and it's something you can actually control yourself, because you can run for the board. You can participate in the HOA. You can go to the meetings. You can tell your opinion about the policies that are in place in the HOA and the decisions that are being made to maintain that property that supports the value of your own lot within that HOA. So HOAs are extremely important for all those reasons. And we'll cover a little bit more of that in the future. We'll go into those things individually and talk about them. Now, there is one thing that I want to talk about for just a moment that is of concern to me and should be of concern to you as a property owner in your HOA, is the attitude that is being promoted outside the HOA, in many instances inside the HOA, by individuals and generally. And I want to cover three aspects of that. One is realtors. Now, I was a real estate broker for many years, and I talked to other realtors, and I would hear this attitude in the way they would talk about an HOA. When a client would ask them about an HOA, does an HOA is this property within an HOA? They would be apologetic. The realtor would actually apologize for the HOA. They would say, "Oh yes, the property that we're looking at, it does have an HOA, but you can put up with it." That kind of attitude, being apologetic about the HOA, it's as though it's an evil thing, as though it's a bad thing. And that is not the attitude that we come in with on this channel, because we believe that HOAs are very positive influences and they support property values. And of course, that's what we want. We want our property to be have its value maintained and have partners to help us do that. And that would be the HOA. So realtors are in many instances are apologetic about HOAs. Not in every instance, but in general, I have heard that, and I heard that when I would talk with other agents and other brokers. The second thing is community managers. Now, community managers are professional people that work for companies that contract to manage the HOA, so that the HOA participants themselves, the board members, don't have to do all the administrative work and that, so that it can be outsourced to somebody else. And these are called community managers. And generally, they are trained. They are certified. They go through courses that train them how to do this. And they work in companies that oversee them and make sure that these things are done. So community managers are supposed to be very supportive and very encouraging and helping the HOA fulfill its responsibilities to the community. But again, I worked as a community manager for over a decade, and in meetings, I actually heard other community managers talk about living in an HOA, and I would ask them, "Do you live in an HOA?" And they would look at me, and many of them would say, "Oh no, I don't live in an HOA. I would never live in an HOA." Can you imagine being in that position, and you are responsible for encouraging people in an HOA and helping them properly manage an HOA, and you don't even believe in the HOA? You would never live there yourself? What a horrible thing. How terrible would that kind of a life even be, to have that sort of dichotomy of thinking? It's amazing to me. And so community managers even sometimes promote this idea that HOAs are not good. So we have realtors, we have community managers, and then the third influence about the value of HOAs and how they work and their operations is the internet. Now we know the internet is a dumpster fire for the most part, and most of the things that you'll see on the internet are that way. But you just, for instance, on YouTube, if you just put in a search term of HOA and look what comes up, it is like the final reckoning or the World War III of living in urban areas. HOAs are horrible. My HOA is doing this to me. And you get videos of board members from an HOA board going and banging on doors and following people down the street and recording things. Just terrible. It's like little Hitlers running around in an HOA. And we're to believe that all HOAs are that way. All HOAs are not that way. And even when you do have an HOA and that is going on, that is not an HOA problem. That is not the organizational problem. That is not the structure itself. That is a people problem. And that is a wrong person in that HOA should not be doing that. And we do run into that occasionally, just like every place else runs into people issues like that. Even the United States government, for goodness sakes. We've seen in Congress that there are bad people there that are not there really to help the United States, to help their constituents, to make it better. They are there for some other reason. They're either there for their looking out for themselves and to line their own pockets, or whoever's giving them money to run their campaigns. They're there for some other reason. There's an ulterior motive. And so the internet is promoting this attitude that the HOAs are horrible, the HOAs are bad, that the HOAs are negative influence on society. Well, nothing could be farther from the truth. The HOA is a wonderful, well established entity that helps protect our properties and helps our interest in our own property. So we'll be talking about that a little bit too. The negative influence, the negative influencers that, like I said, are sometimes realtors, sometimes community managers, and especially the internet and the videos that you see on YouTube that are so negative about HOAs. So I just wanted to talk about that for a second. That's my rant. That's my personal soapbox because I believe it's a negative influence on the successful operation of HOAs that are really there to help protect the property values that we hold dear, that we've invested our life savings in. Most American families today have their life savings tied up in real estate. And so anybody that can help us protect the value of that and ensure that our investment is going to be good is a good thing. And we want to ensure that, we want to make sure that is successful in this operations. So we're going to be talking about that on this channel. And especially that organization, but what it's supposed to do and what supports it. In an HOA, and especially single family homes, the community has infrastructure that has to be maintained, it has to be protected, it has to be replaced occasionally. And one of the most important parts of the infrastructure in the single family home community, and especially run by HOAs, are trees, the tree resources, the most valuable parts of the landscaping. Trees are much more valuable than grass, much more valuable than shrubs. They're long-term, perennial, long-lived plants that give value to our homes, our properties. They support social events. People like to be out among the trees and to have the shade. They like to look at them. The trees are good to look at. And they do lots of things for us. They have many services that they provide. And so we'll be talking about how to properly maintain trees. What are the basic things that have to be done to maintain the trees in your community? And it's not only in your community, the things that are done in your community that should be done are also the same things that should be done on your lot, on your parcel, by your trees in your front yard, your side yards, your rear yard. These things need to be done because the trees don't know where the limits of your property are. They just think that they're a part of the larger space, the larger community. And so we want to talk about that, which we will do. And I'm a certified arborist, and I'm very passionate about proper care for trees. And we'll be talking about that. What is the proper care of a tree? What needs to be done? What you need to look out for? And what you need to be focusing on. So we'll talk about that. And as well as the operation of the HOA itself, which is the administrative structure that helps protect the value of our property. And so it's an educational thing, but it's also an entertaining thing to look at. We are interested in things where our properties are, where we live. So we're going to be talking about that. I thank you for coming by the channel today and taking a few minutes to watch this video and to listen to my rants. And you'll continue to hear those in the future. Occasionally I have rants like that, and we have interesting videos. We will be talking about things in every HOA, things about your property too, everybody's property, whether it's an HOA under their management or if it's not, if it's under your management. We'll be talking about that as well. So thank you for coming by, and we'll see you in the next video. Thank you so much. Again, this channel is Living in the HOA. My name is Roger Hartzog, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Thank you.